Video 32. May 11, 2011. A friend asks, if the system Nibiru is delayed, the comet Elenin will also fail to intersect with the Earth in October? I cannot even be apocalyptic because this is not my role. I cannot and should not interfere in your routines, but the comet you call Elenin will not be delayed. It will pass very close in next October, approximate 50,000 kilometers from Earth in its actual route, by our calculations. The problem is that the diameter of this comet, with its atmosphere of gases and rocks, is approximate 78,000 kilometers, that is, its atmosphere will interact with yours, and all your satellites will be permanently lost. The interaction of gravity can move your oceans and tectonic plates. In addition, it will cross the asteroid belt, collecting more material with its gravity force. We are following the deviations that may be in its passage through the abeam of Mars. It may deviate in various ways, including turning away a lot, but if instead, it is randomly shifted toward direct to your planet, 2 Pleiadian spaceships will try an emergency operation. They will be on hand to depart from the lunar base to destroy it only in this critical situation. Because this operation is extremely risky and could shake the entire balance in your solar system, what will be left will be a big rain of smaller meteors, which will mostly be destroyed by your atmosphere, but even so, some meteors will reach the planet with less impact force. A great shower of lights and dust. This plan has been approved by the Community Galactica. Curtis asks, where did the Vedas get their info from? The Vedas were visited several times by a race from the Pleiades. Brahman was the name given to an entity called Cosmic God, who was actually a representative of the breed that was originally a development of the Saxas civilization. In a colony on the Pleiades, for which they were transferred over 10,000 years ago. They have been here several times, studying their own origins, and in their travels brought them diverse knowledge of writing and philosophy. To developing tribes, starting with that, the first few records of your age. Sky Fox asks, do you know anything about the H1N1 virus that is still killing humanity? Is it a virus that came out from a human laboratory or has it anything to do with reptilians? Sky Fox, many of the viruses announced by your government are common flu viruses that already exist. This is a pretext for the population to be vaccinated with nanocomponents of remote activation brought by reptilian scientists. As I mentioned before, do not take or give your children any vaccines offered by your governments. This is the same case of deception used with the explosion of 2 buildings in North America, to justify acts of exception against another country that had available the resources they needed for their economy. Unfortunately, corruption on your planet is one of the sharpest we know. Do not trust your government and their associates. Totter asks, Mythi, in the answer about Sarikina you said that Athenians donated DNA to Atlantis and Egyptians. That explains their high developed cultures. Old Bulgarians, so-called Proto-Bulgarians, had a calendar several thousand years ago. But this calendar was and still is fast as precision as the calendar we use today. So who and why gave to the ancient Bulgarians this calendar and who donated DNA to them? Totter, the ancient tribes pray much the knowledge of the time, it was to them a knowledge that made them more intimate of the stars and the divine. Stellar calendars were given to different civilizations in ancient times as gifts from gods. As the experiments with human DNA were performed in that region, the possibility that they were interfering with the development of local tribes is a possible evidence of testing developments. The Athenians wore clothing that resembled the gods, which greatly influenced mainly the Egyptian elite, and very impressed all the regional native tribes. Mythi, could you look at this skull? It was found in the mountain Rhodope in Bulgaria several years ago. Scientists from all over the world tried to explore it, but they couldn't. All scientists, from all countries, concluded that this skull doesn't belong to any creature from this planet. So could you tell us if this skull belongs to an alien, what kind it is, and why it was here? You have found an ancient grey skull, not exactly sure what breed, but it is a grey, a very old one. Must have been the result of struggles between ancient Athenians and reptilians with their friends of some grey races. Possibly with luck, you will find some reptilian skeletons in these same locations. Frogger asks, is there only one universe, or are there, as some think, many universes that are meshed together? A multiverse. Frogger, yeah, there are multiverses. The fourth generation has its own universe, parallel to ours. There are other universes in the third dimension like we are, for which we are linked by the equalizing power of black holes. And with these, there is also the fourth dimension of them. There are inter-universe travelers of both the third and the fourth dimension. There is much to learn, but one thing at a time. There are special portals between different universes that communicate. Very enlightened societies that maintain relationships inter-universally among their dimensions. This is a long subject, and you will have thousands of years to understand. It is a direct consequence of development. Frogger asks, what are the oldest known form/type of humanoid that exist in the universe? That is a question difficult to answer. The Old Fathers are one of the oldest breeds of humanoids. If not the oldest in our universe, moved from third to fourth dimension many billions of years ago. And, like them, more enlightened races have passed from the third to the fourth dimension to each universal cycle. They no longer need to incarnate in the third dimension to develop, it is for them a distant past. Argentina asks, I have seen videos saying we release dimethyltryptamine during sleep in small doses and once we start dying. I have tried this substance extracted as a hallucinogen and felt I visited a different dimension or visited with my spirit. My question, I guess, is what role do hallucinogenic drugs have with different dimensions or your spirit? Argentina, sleep is a state of detachment of your secondary functions in first grade, that is, you keep the vital functions, some warning systems, and disconnected from reality to relax the body. When this happens, you are naturally vulnerable to the free functioning of your brain compiling the events and anxieties of your day-to-day. In this state, you may receive subliminal messages more easily, but the fact of being nearly unconscious, you will hardly recall these messages with the clarity that you like. Taking medications that alter your ability of brain activity can lead to states outside of reality, where your brain generates sensations and creates situations that are not quite real. You can only have authentic extracorporeal visions with your body free of chemical interference, because then you'll really be in control, not the inducing chemicals. You can do this with concentration exercises, channeling of cosmic energy, among other techniques. But never with chemical elements. Anik asks, since religion as a whole is not based on facts, what then is the deal with gays or homosexuality? I know you mentioned mating and relationships in a past discussion, but this issue or problem never came up. I want to know, is it a human abnormality that needs to be purged out like cancer and other diseases? Or is it something natural that is not really understood? Anik, the sexual proclivities of each is a result of environment and personal mental stimuli. The sexual tendency is no more or less important than any tendency of human beings. What is important is that a healthy society knows how to live with differences. For the halo effect and development, no matter the sexual tendency. This is not a disease, it is only a state of mind. Noelle asks, my question has to do with the Rh-negative blood type. Where did it come from? Does the Rh-negative factor benefit humanity? If so, how does it benefit? Noelle, the humanoid Rh-negative factor is a constancy in humanoid extraterrestrials. Some variants of Rh happened here on planet Earth strictly caused by chemical and physical changes in certain regions, such as genetic variations of experiments made by different races here on the planet. The Rh-negative is a constant that cannot be cloned or synthesized and has specific properties. Since the first genetic manipulations on the planet, other factors of Rh can be induced, unless they are Rh-negative. In the next era, all will be born with a negative Rh factor. Boris asks, is everyone in your society like you? And do you have less good people, who take more than they need? Is there crime on your planet? Well, Boris, as in every society there are those who want less responsibility, looking for positions where they can devote more time to his personal tastes, and also the opposite. As I do, to risk the adventure in missions outside the colonies. We respect the tendency of each. When any orders more than he should, we try to verify whether he really does not need what he has requested or if it is for a good cause. This has not happened for a long time. There are no crimes in our colonies, definitely not. Sky Fox asks, are you informed that a human mother is so attached to her child's soul and mind that she could do anything to protect the child? Even die for it? Do you have the same family bond in your planet? See, Sky Fox, the maternal instinct that you're describing is not a feature inherent only to humans, is inherent in all mammals. A natural instinct to preserve the species that goes beyond the fear of risking their lives to protect the offspring. That in humans extends to the next. That's the difference. To be intelligent about this feature, you protect any child in danger, not only yours. In our societies, it works the same way, with a difference. There is no sense of possession or overprotection, they are free to choose the paths that will shape their characters and tendencies of life. Any child is welcome to any home. Members of our crew who have children know that if by misfortune they were not to return to the planet, their children will have the love and care of all who welcome them.